Hi, can everybody hear me? Oh, great. Okay. That's a weird experience to to not hear any introductions, but um, that's the way this is set up. Hey, for me, it's super early. I think you're halfway or something like that. I saw something on the chat, and I think you're all having a very good jamboree. I am going to share my deck with you. 1 second. I still have to. Sorry, I'm just reading Toby's thing. Yeah, it is. Let me see how this works. I think I'm just going to share my. I'm trying to do a video. 1 second. All right. Welcome, folks. I'm Gerrit. I'm Director of Talent Insights and Research at Activision Blizzard King. And I work from the corporate headquarters in Santa Monica. Before that, I was an analyst at Egon Zehnder. That's how I started my career. I got a background in history, by the way. And then I moved to be a consultant at Ebbingen, which is a Dutch human capital advisory firm in Amsterdam. And then I moved to Philips to be at Toby's team, eventually being a senior manager for talent intelligence, and very much focusing there on our competitive intelligence that had use cases in group strategy and M&A. And then, made a pretty cool, for me, cool move and my family to the United States, where we're at now. I wanted to show you something just to see if everybody's still awake, and to make sure that I'm awake. But I need to make sure that this works first. So I'm gonna get out of presentation mode. And check if this is working. You see the PowerPoint. Okay, let me share my window in another way. Okay, it's pretty clumsy. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Get ready, team. You've never seen a war done like this.
The gas is burning. Proper contact.
So I don't know. Did that?
Hey, what's up, and welcome back, everyone, to another Warzone 2 video.
Wait.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best loadouts that you should be using.
Sorry about that. Is everybody seeing my screen again? It's hard to get not be able to get a reaction. It all works. Okay, awesome. Good. We're going back to my screen, and I'm basically giving you a bit of an introduction. You saw this is coming out today. It's Warzone 2.0, big multiplayer thing. A couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we launched Modern Warfare 2. It did $1 billion in the first 7 days and $800 million in the first weekend. And the thing with games is the revenue just continues to go. So unlike a big movie, you'll see these revenues just go on for month and month and years and years. So it's very big business. And what you just saw was just one game from one franchise, which is Call of Duty, that has an unimaginable sort of production machine behind it, which is the studios that you see below, which are Treyarch, Raven, High Moon, Beanox, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, etc. Then we have, and that's just only Activision publishing. And then we have Blizzard that has big franchises like Overwatch and Diablo and World of Warcraft and StarCraft, which are all sort of forever games, especially World of Warcraft. And Candy Crush is king, which is 10 years old, just turned 10 years old, and is still adding users and adding monetization per user. So it's in all, it's almost a $9 billion business that gets almost $3 billion in revenue after taxes. And the reason why I'm sort of bragging about it is because this takes a lot of people, and the only reason why these games are here and they are winning in the market is because we're able to get really good people and continue to attract it. But it's a very tough market because it's a hard, very profitable world.
Gerrit, sorry to interrupt. We can't see your PowerPoint deck.
Sorry?
We can't see your PowerPoint deck. All we're seeing is your screen with Hopin open.
Oh, all right.
Unshare and then share again the deck if you could.
Of course. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thanks for
again now.
letting me know. Trying to do this again. Window. So you're back at. Hopefully you can also.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I was basically explaining a little bit. This is a good slide to sort of have an overview of the business that I'm in currently, and the point I'm trying to make is that in order to get to this, it's basically 100% about people. The people are front and center. When you look at the shareholder, the letter to our shareholders from our CEO, it's always about talent. It's just a big part of the business is talent. I think in every company, but even more so here, there are no machines or anything else. It's just people that do this, and it's a very highly competitive talent market that we operate in. Why this is also a good slide is because it shows that we're in an interesting situation because we're being taken over by Microsoft and we're between sign and close. So hopefully soon more about that. But that is also an interesting situation for me, setting up the talent intelligence function. So maybe these slides are not going to be very text heavy, also because I didn't run it through all the corporate functions in order to share this with you. So I'll be just talking a little bit more. It's a Jamboree. We'll just act like we're at a bonfire with 300 people. But I'm just going to share with you today a little bit about talent intelligence at ABK, and how it sort of sits at People Analytics now, and what my journey has been so far. So I joined late 2021, and during 2022, my function basically talent intelligence basically made the move from talent and succession planning, which was under the talent organization, to people analytics, and people analytics is also under the talent organization. So we have a chief talent officer, and a lot of capabilities that you would normally find elsewhere in HR are within ABK, because talent is so important, all centered under our talent office. And what I've been sort of focusing on starting out is predominantly location strategy, recruitment strategy, and I'm very much gearing up for competitive intelligence, which used to be my bread and butter at Philips. So talent intelligence and people analytics, why is it there? So like I mentioned, talent is front and center at ABK. And having all people analytics under one roof, under the talent office, makes a lot of sense, because and I'll basically explain later. But the main advantages I found is building our own tools. We've always, I think, within talent intelligence are into sort of buy versus build, in sort of buy versus build limbo. I've now really, this has really turned. I've always used to be very much of the buy side of things, because there's great products out there, and why would we spend like a ton of energy and actually also money on recreating things that already exist? But that has really shifted, and that has also been my greatest learning, being under people analytics, to building our own tools. And I'm very fortunate being in a people analytics function that has a very mature data science capability, that really has the idea, like, if we're being pitched a great tool, the first thing is like, can we do this ourselves? Why can't we do this ourselves? There's a very good data warehouse with all sorts of structured and unstructured data sets that can easily accommodate also all the external data sets that we need as talent intelligence folks. There's a direct link with workforce planning. Actually, workforce planning is for a very big part of people analytics. So it's a great way for talent intelligence to sort of tap in there and add value. For a starting function, as I think many of you that have started TI functions in organizations have probably experienced, and I had to really get used to, because Activision Blizzard is very much a product of a series of acquisitions. So it's that have all kept their own structure. It's a very decentralized organization. I'm coming from Philips, which is a very centralized organization, and therefore easier to navigate. It's pretty nice to be able to leverage the network of people analytics. People analytics is a bit the finance organization of HR, right? So they report to many parts of the business, and therefore have all these connections. At the same time, they also have a very good connection to finance, which is handy in terms of understanding the business and basically also using their data. And I think one of the other advantages is really the ability to add external lenses to people analytics reporting and vice versa. And you can, by the way, also do that if you're not structured under people analytics, but it's just a more natural thing to do. One of the biggest challenges I found is that people analytics and talent intelligence ways of working are just so different. If you would just name one thing, is I would say that people analytics, people think of the product first. So what they want to get, what kind of insight, what kind of sort of metric, what kind of chart they're going to build, basically. and then think about the data second, because the data is often there, right? People analytics often works with data sets that are just there. It's just how are we basically going to present it? I'm now cutting a lot of corners, but and with talent intelligence, because we're so used to not having perfect data sets, we're first really doing all the research, and then thinking about what we got and what kind of insights we can derive from them. And that, of course, has all to do with the quality of data. That at TI, the quality is just not perfect, and at People Analytics, it's also not perfect, but it's often much more complete. It's definitely not perfect. So I see the emergence of a fourth TI pillar with the sort of, because of the working with People Analytics. So obviously there's location strategy, and I think there's also a very good session that I've missed about location strategy. It's focusing on location strategy, but obviously that goes into workforce planning. I think it's a great way for talent intelligence to basically show the value in a very quick way. It has matured, and they're great tools, they're great insights. You can leverage those tools. You can add all sort of bespoke research to really make great models for senior leadership to make all sorts of decisions. And it has been my way to really sort of conquer the organization throughout outputs. Recruitment strategy, I don't have to sort of discuss too much about that, but that's obviously has everything to do with hiring strategy, compensation strategy. We build a very interesting skill similarity model that helped us sort of unlock other talent pools that we then through upskilling could sort of add. We started Level Up University for that, and ultimately really being focused to get a better representation in DE&I. And then competitive intelligence, which serves like corporate strategy and for M&A and acqui-hiring, battle cards that help TA be better prepared in their conversations with candidates. Now, structural market reporting is really benchmarking against market segments through first-hand talent market observations and data sets, I would say, that refresh. What I've been building for the past couple of months is really a TI lens into executive reporting. For example, showing in-depth hiring and attrition flows. So from what companies are we hiring and to what companies are we losing, why? And you could sort of segment that out in footprint or teams or subsidiaries, and really try to find the outliers to do deep dives and really understand why and what can we do about it and get to actionable insights. And that sort of gets back to the competitive intelligence where you do deep dives into companies. So I'm just looking at my watch here, and I really want to have the time for questions as well. So why do I think this is a good thing to do? And this is really that emerging thing, is predominantly because the external data sets that we use are progressively increasing in quality, and they make them suitable because of that for this sort of PA style handling, so people analytics style handling, reporting style handling of this data. And if you add your talent intelligence, which is a bit more opportunistic way of doing, let's say, news curation on top of that, you'll really end up with a bespoke labor market analytics capacity, or sort of being sort of the labor market specialist for the company and for the senior leadership. And yeah, I see a nice and an interesting, exciting field for us emerge there. This is real quickly, there are tons of more, but my greatest learning setting up Shop, and that's how I sort of want to end, is just if I can give anyone like a tip, it's really picking location strategy as your main way to quickly make name throughout your output and throughout the company. And making sure to leverage your people analytics network while you figure out the rest of the function. I have to make like a little caveat. I'm still a one-man show, so there's just we were sort of struggling with capacity, and therefore also really leveraging vendors to help me out with things initially. And once you sort of done that, then you quickly see yourself getting more and more in higher demand and involved in more and more parts of corporate decision making. And then you really also build your case for your team. So that's basically a note where I wanted to end it, my presentation on, and also a little view of Modern Warfare 2 that has a pretty cool scene in Amsterdam, where I'm from originally. Thank you all for your attention. I'm just interested to hear questions or see questions, so I'm going to get out of presentation mode and into the open environment. Let me see. Are people still awake? Are they still there? Do you have questions?
Gerrit, there should be questions in the Q&A tab. So if you look on the right-hand side of the Hopin platform, there's a little icon for Q&A. Just under where it says session and events at the top right. But if you're not seeing those, I can field them and deliver them to you if you want.
Sorry?
I can field those for you and ask you them if you wish.
Yes, please.
Let's do that then if you're not seeing them. So they're all questions from your friends by the looks of things. So the first one's from Toby.
Thank you. Nice to see all the names. I'm seeing, by the way, the questions here, so I can cool. I can read them myself.
I'll leave you to it.
Yeah. So Anastasia, could you elaborate on PA being product first and TI being data first? I feel like for both functions, data is key and first. We cannot do much without data. Yeah, that was exactly my reaction, Anastasia. I recognize that. The funny thing is that people analytics is I think has started out, they're on a journey as well, but they pretty much started out to be very much a reporting function and getting a very exact request of what they need to produce. So they get and that's very much how their thinking is geared up to be. And then they go find the data to do that. So that's a very different way of thinking. And I feel your sort of amazement there. Then Toby, PA often drive to a self-service maturity curve, whereas TI often is consulting first. How have you found this? Yeah, that taps into that sort of way of thinking. So that's true. You find PA building loads of dashboards that are pretty much self-serving. There will always be a level of sort of bespoke requests that PA is constantly involved in. I do see, and that's what I've also done, and I haven't even mentioned that here, is there's a lot of room for some automation at Talent Intelligence as well, which should, if you're understaffed like I am right now, should also sort of help you with the burden of all the requests. For example, location strategy, you can definitely help that to be a bit more self-service, so you can focus on consulting as a TI professional. And how have you find tying in with PA, given how clean, controlled internal data is versus how unstructured data in TI? And yeah, this is the big sort of learning, I think, for PA that now is handling my TI data, and we're sort of marrying these data sets. to provide external lenses to internal data insights and vice versa. And that is really much where you as a TI professional can add value. And I have been very much impressed how our data sets that were used to be able to be sort of handling these pretty clean controlled data sets, as you mentioned there, Toby, how they are also able to do their magic with less perfect data sets. But I should also make the remark here that the data sets, the external data sets that I've been getting are becoming better and better, more complete. Not so clean though, so we do a lot of cleaning up. Let me see if there's anything else. So I don't think there are any other questions. I see there's 2 minutes left on the clock. Not sure if there's maybe a voice question or we'll leave it at this.
Did you pick up Jade's question in the chat? What data is the priority in your opinion?
What data is the priority?
Yeah.
That's let me see. Jade, could you elaborate a little bit on like what kind of what you mean with, because there's so much data and it really depends on what kind of questions we're trying to answer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm trying to think.
Can you add a little bit more flavor to that question, maybe?
Maybe I can help.
And there's a couple more questions have come in the Q&A, Gerrit, since we said there were no more questions. There's one from...
all right, I see Jade's question. I'll move back to the Q&A. So what would you advise to focus on at the start? So if you're starting out, and like I said, I would sort of, as a quick win, because I believe that you only build trust through output, right? So you need to show what you're able to do because people hired you and they need to figure out why you're there. Is it through a location strategy? Because that is still, even though we're doing it already for ages and there's great tools for that, that's still something that people do not have that data front and center in their location decision. So that's a quick win to do. So that's what I would sort of focus on if you start out. Then there's another question by, wait, in the chats. So that's where James is also agreeing on. Are there other questions that I missed? I don't think so. Last question, Toby, I think we handled. Great. Well, I think these are the questions, right, Alan? So I am going to wish you a great rest of your Jamboree. Toby and Alan and Alison, I congratulate you with the organization of this. It's exciting. I just want to sort of commemorate one thing. I remember that Toby and I were talking about that talent intelligence might not be the right word for what we were doing because it wasn't really picking up on Google. We ran like these sort of queries to see how often people were searching for talent intelligence, and that line remained sort of completely flat. That was in 2017, and now I'm thinking, wow, there's just so much on. There's even someone who wrote a book about it, and so much going on, and there's this whole event that's focused on what we do, which is great. I have no idea what book. I have to sort of go on Amazon and check out which book that is, but I heard about it. Yeah, it's a cool field, and I wish everybody best of luck in it. And reach out to me if you want to chat TI. I'm always up for that.
No worries. Thanks, Gerrit. That's really appreciated. I wore orange, especially for you today.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm in white.
I would just make you feel at home.
Thank you. That's nice.
Um,
Thank you so much, Alan.
No, thanks again, everyone. And we'll be back in 45 minutes for the second half of the Jamboree. Cheers, guys. See you in 45.
Bye-bye.